In honor of the Seven Kingdoms and not the Seven Bloody Gods of Westeros, here are 7 of the things I'm most looking forward to in HBO's upcoming show House of the Dragon, the first but most certainly not the last spin-off of their show Game of Thrones. I'm Kevin Pendragon, welcome to my channel. Now let's begin this list by starting from the bottom to the top, beginning with number 7, the Dragons. Now this feels a lot like cheating because I don't know if you can tell from my channel name or from my channel avatar, but I'm a huge fan of dragons. House Targaryen is my favorite house, and Daenerys Targaryen is of course my favorite character, despite the things she did or the things she might do in the future. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you out there are fans of dragons as well. I mean, it's no surprise that HBO decided to go with this spinoff rather than go with any of the other ones that we're working on. So how many dragons are we going to get in this new show? Based on my calculations, and forgive me, I was never great shakes at maths, I believe we will have at least 22 unique individual dragons. That is hold on. What's 22 divided by 3?
The answer is approximately 7.333333.
22 dragons. That is 7.333333 more dragons than we had last time. Quick maths. Very easy. Some notables from this list of monsters? Well, let's begin with Caraxes the Bloodworm, Meleys the Red Queen, Tessarion the Blue Queen, Sunfyre the Golden, and Charizard the Shiny. No, that last one, it's not an actual dragon, but if I do read off all these names, it is going to sound like the poker rap. Which dragons in particular am I looking forward to? Well, of course, is Vhagar, who is the oldest dragon that the Targaryens have. And if you didn't know, the longer a dragon lives, the bigger it gets. There seems to be no limit on their size. Vhagar was almost as big as Balerion. We've never saw Balerion on the show, but we saw his skull, and that's how big it was. If you thought Drogon was a big boy, he's nothing in comparison to his ancestor. And then there's my personal favorite, Sunfyre the Golden. Now, I'm Team Rhaenyra through and through, but there's no denying the beauty and majesty of Sunfyre. He's supposed to be the most beautiful dragon to have ever existed in the history of the species. As his name suggests, his scales are bright gold, his wing membranes are pale pink. So I guess he looks like Smaug when Smaug got the Viserys treatment. Or did Viserys get the Smaug treatment? I can't wait to see what the show is going to do with the CGI with these creatures, because of course it's done nothing but improve since Game of Thrones. And with the later seasons, when they were tossing all the money at the dragons and not at other fantasy creatures on the show, sorry, Ghost, it kind of looked like they had actual literal dragons. It's some of the best CGI I've ever seen. Not just best CGI on television, best CGI, period. Now let's move on to number 6, The Murder of Lymon Beesbury. Fans of the books might be wondering, why am I interested in this particular character? What's so interesting about Lymon Beesbury that I can't wait to see him on the show? Well, as his entry says, it's not Lymon Beesbury as a character that I'm interested in, it's his death. Lymon is the first casualty in the Dance of the Dragons, and he's not killed in battle, he's killed in a council room. When King Viserys is found dead, Alicent calls her council, and they discuss what they should do next. Of course, it should be announcing to the heir that the king is dead, and now it's time for you to begin the process of becoming the new monarch. But Alicent doesn't want the designated heir, Rhaenyra, to be queen. She wants her son, Aegon, to be king. So this meeting is to decide, well, are we going to be usurpers or, go with the girl I don't really like too much? Everyone says, no, we're not going with Rhaenyra. Let's back Aegon. Everyone but Lymon. Lymon says, hey, I'm not getting down with this treason talk. This is treasonous table talk. I'm going to go send a raven to Rhaenyra, who's giving birth on Dragonstone right now, and I'm going to let her know her father is dead and that she needs to come claim his throne. As Lymon strides to the door, Sir Criston Cole, a knight of the Kingsguard, slits his throat. Everything leading up to Lymon's death is interesting as well. The sequence of events that leads up to the point where he gets ganked is cinematic in a way. I can see so clearly in my head the servant girl finding King Viserys' dead-ass body, her rushing almost on the verge of tears to find the queen to tell her that her husband is dead. I can see Alicent, the gears turning in her mind, seeing that now she has this opportunity to claim the throne for her son. The servant girl, the poor servant girl, being clapped in chains and put into a dungeon while Alicent calls her council and discusses what to do next. These scenes intercut with scenes on Dragonstone where Rhaenyra is having a difficult birth. It can be almost as dramatic and interesting as Light of the Seven if done right. Moving on to number 5, Blood and Cheese. You thought this was bad? I mean, it still is bad. I mean, Ned Stark is dying again, but this time he's being spawn killed by those treacherous Freys. But blood and cheese is somehow worse. To begin, if you didn't read the books, blood and cheese is not a Giscari dish or a Milanese dish. It's not a dish that the highborns of Westeros eat. Blood and cheese are two people, two ne'er-do-wells that have been hired by Daemon Targaryen to commit murder. And not just any murder, the murder of a child. You see, without getting into details, one of Rhaenyra Targaryen's children was killed. As a result, Daemon Targaryen, her now husband, has hired Blood and Cheese to get revenge. They sneak into the Red Keep, they go into the royal apartments, and they lay in wait. Of course, well, after tying up Queen Alicent and making her shut the hell up, Helaena, her daughter, unknown to anything, comes into the room with her 3 kids so they can tell their grandmother goodnight, as they do every night. And there's Blood and Cheese. Blood and Cheese give Helaena, Alicent's daughter, a choice. And it's the worst kind of choice. It's Sophie's choice. Literally. You remember that movie? Meryl Streep? Excellent movie if you haven't seen it. Anyway, they tell her she has to choose which son is going to die. There's a daughter present, but they only want to kill one of her sons. A son for a son. Helaena is distraught, of course. How can any mother be forced to make this choice? She chooses her youngest child because she thinks that he's too young to comprehend what's going to happen. And instead, Blood and Cheese chop off the head of her eldest son. They take the head and scurry away. Poor Helaena, she goes mad with grief, as Targaryens tend to do when they lose people closest to them. And this begins Queen Alicent's descent into her own grief and her own contemplation of, well, maybe it was a bad idea to steal Rhaenyra's throne and set off the series of events. Yeah, Alicent, it is. I'm really interested to see how the show handles this because it's particularly graphic, even for Game of Thrones. So who knows? I know they showed a pregnant woman getting killed, but this is an actual child being decapitated. Are they going to age up the kids so it's a little bit more easier to swallow, or keep it as it is? We're going to have to wait and see. Number 4, the dragon seeds. Now for something a little bit lighter. Kind of. The dragon seeds are not, as the name implies, seeds that you can plant to turn into dragons. No, they are the descendants or the offspring of House Targaryen. You see, when the Targaryens came to Dragonstone from Old Valyria, they took part in this unsavory practice called Prima Nocta, or the Lord's right to the first night. Meaning, if one of the vassals was getting married, the Lord Targaryen reserved the right to have sex with the wife first. This resulted in many pregnancies and the women giving birth to half Targaryen children of Valyrian descent, the blood of the dragon. And I assume there were some Targaryen women who got in with some of the peasant men as well and produced their own bastard. There's a very strong theory that states that you need Targaryen blood to ride a dragon. So when the Dance of the Dragons comes, Rhaenyra's faction on Dragonstone sends out word that anybody that can ride a dragon, basically anyone of Targaryen descent, can come and attempt to ride one as long as they choose to join her side. This goes about as well as you can imagine. A bunch of people come to the island seeking dragons, and death and fire happen after. And then, of course, some of the ones who do come to the island that do get a dragon end up being unsavory characters who end up betraying Rhaenyra. You invite these people to get dragons with no background check. You're kind of asking for it. I am looking forward to this because this could be a very action-packed, maybe even comical series of events. We're going to have all these people rushing, trying to climb onto the back of a dragon, poking their heads into caves, doing their best to sneak up on them to get them, or trying to face them head on with courage and valor and being horribly burned for it. And then there is someone like Nettles who uses stealth and cunning and time and patience to tame their dragon. And the result is a new army of dragon riders. So yeah, again, I think this can be played for laughs at some points. It's going to be very tragic, very dark, but overall it's going to be very action-packed. And I can't wait to see the kind of people they cast as the dragon seeds, because the books never give us a description of all the dragon seeds. So we can get a very diverse set of characters to play these Targaryen descendants. So yeah, this is going to be very, very exciting. And I cannot wait to see how it plays out. Number 3, Tumbleton, or the Treasons of Tumbleton. The Treasons of Tumbleton. Now, remember those dragon seeds we talked about a little bit earlier? 2 of them, on Rhaenyra's side, of course, betray her, going over to her brother's side. This betrayal happens in a village called Tumbleton. After taking the village in Rhaenyra's name, the two dragon riders, along with their army, wait for the advancement of Rhaenyra's brother's army. When the army arrives, rather than attack them, they join the enemy in destroying the village. They lay waste to Tumbleton. They do what Daenerys did to King's Landing and the Bells. And because these guys are betrayers, because these are clear-cut bad guys, I can feel comfortable reveling in their destruction. I know they're bad. I know what they're doing is bad. But it's going to be awesome to see two gigantic dragons laying waste to a village, people running to and fro, burning. And this time it's going to be way better than the Bells, because I'm not going to be sitting there having mixed feelings. Part of me enjoying the sheer destruction that I'm watching, the other half going,
What are you doing? They surrendered!
Number 2, Nettles. Game of Thrones didn't really explore the dragon mythology and lore very well. There was a lot of stuff they left behind in the books because they had to be economic with their storytelling. These are giant doorstopper books, you can't get it all in there, and also because they kind of forgot. As I mentioned earlier, there's this whole mystery or lore or rule regarding who can ride a dragon. The most popular belief is that you need to have Targaryen, therefore Valyrian blood, the blood of the dragon, to be able to ride one. That is never explained in the show. So it seems as if anybody in this world can ride a dragon, at least during the time that Game of Thrones came out. So I've always wondered, why ain't Dany let one of her friends ride her dragons? I mean, Grey Worm and Missandei are right there, and they are the two of the most trustworthy people that she has. Honestly, when I saw the trailer for season 7, I didn't think this was Drogon. I thought it had to be Viserion or Rhaegal. They were going to pull a trick, because why would they put such a big moment in the trailer? Come to find out, it was Drogon because that was an action-packed moment. The show turned to action at that point. But my point is, I would have been jaw on the floor if that was Viserion and that was Missandei. I know that seems like a weird thing to want, Missandei as a dragon rider, but really I just wanted her to be much more of an active character, someone who's not just rattling off Dany's titles, doing her hair, or doing Grey Worm. What better way to do that than to make her a dragon rider, a fighter, someone who's contributing a lot to Dany's army and her efforts in other ways. In House of the Dragon, we do get something like that. Nettles is a young black girl who becomes a dragon rider. She rides the dragon Sheepsteeler, who based off its name you can tell is a dragon who steals sheep. This is a very important character, I think, in the story because of not just the things that she does, but of who she is. A strong black woman in fantasy who does these impossible feats. This is a very rare character in fantasy. I'm very excited to see fan reactions to this character, in particular black women. And listen, I know Black Twitter's going to kill it when it comes to the memes and the discourse of this character. It's going to be absolute fire. Twitter is going to be ablaze. Now let's get on to number 1, the fight over Shipbreaker Bay. Now this was a hard one. This was a very tough one because there are 2 climactic dragon fights, one over the God's Eye and one over Shipbreaker Bay. I chose this one over the one over God's Eye because, just like the Murder of Lymon Beesbury, this is a pivotal point in the beginnings of the war. At this point, Lymon Beesbury has been killed, so the war has been waged. This, though, the Battle over Shipbreaker Bay, results in the first major casualty. Queen Rhaenyra has just decided to declare war against her usurper brother Aegon. She calls her council together, and it's time to send out envoys to other lords and ladies of Westeros to see if they'll live up to their vows and support her claim to the throne. One of her sons, Lucerys, wants to be a part of the action. Lucerys flies off to his dragon to Storm's End, but unfortunately, one of his relatives on the opposite side of the war, Aemond Targaryen, has already landed there. The 2 dragons over stormy waters, lightning flashing in the background, thunder roaring overhead, and then the fight that happens. It's a quick one, but a deadly one. I can imagine cutting to small folk on land pointing out to the distance over the bay to the dragons fighting. You can see fire blast as lightning crackles, and then a body falls. And Vhagar flying away, roaring victory, and then we smash the credits. Listen, I dabbled in screenwriting, okay? I haven't done it in a long time, but if you want to put me in the writer's room, you couldn't do any worse. I'm a huge fan of these books. I know them in and out. I don't display a shocking lack of knowledge. Hire me, please. I need money. Thank you all for watching my video. I hope you all enjoyed. Now it's time for the call to action, the call to the banners. If you did like this video, make sure you like and comment down below what you're most looking forward to in House of the Dragon. And also ring that bell because we got to wake up King Viserys. He's been sleeping all day and that can't be good. Again, thank you all for watching my video. Have a good one and I'll see you for the next one.